Hello, knitters. This is Barbara Benson, and I want to talk to you a little bit about demystifying the concept of yarn weight. Now, I just finished doing a Periscope broadcast on this subject, and the original plan was to actually just copy that Periscope over here to YouTube. And I may do this in the future, but it was a little bit on the crazy side, and the interactive nature of Periscope made it so that it really wouldn't have worked to bring it over here because there was a lot of stuff going on and a lot of highs. So I wanted to go ahead and just give you just the information in this specific one. If you would like to follow me on Periscope, I'll put the information in the description because the interactivity there is a lot of fun. It's live streaming, but you can chat with me. So if that's something you're interested in, please come and check me out. I'm Tumped Duck over there, just like I am just about everywhere else. On to yarn weights. Now, there's a lot of confusion about yarn weights and understanding, and I'm going to tell you how I think about it. And it's a rule of thumb, and I do well with like visual aids. So for this visual aid, I use my hand, and it helps me visualize what the yarn weights are. So of course you have cobweb and lace and very, very skinny yarns, but I always start with fingering. So you have fingering weight. And in United Kingdom, fingering weight is also called knitting weight, or has been in the past. So you have your UK terminology, which is knitting weight. And then I'm going to skip to my third finger, where we have DK weight, which DK stands for double knitting. And then I'm going to skip to my thumb, which is Aran. So the UK terminology, as least interpreted by in the United States, is fingering, knitting or fingering weight, DK, Aran weight. Now, when we came in United States a little bit later, decided we needed more choices, because we always do, and introduced sport weight, which is in between fingering and DK, and then worsted weight, which is in between DK and Aran. And in general references, if you double fingering, you get double knitting. And if you double DK, you get Aran. In that same vein, if you double sport weight, you get worsted weight. So let's do this again. I'm going to put it in front of my face. So little finger, fingering, fingering, sport, DK, worsted, Aran. Now, you can keep on going up to super bulky and bulky, chunky, super bulky, but none of this is really standardized. And why I say in general terms is because it isn't really standardized. Take fingering weight. Things can be labeled fingering weight that have anything from around 420 and 440 yards per 100 grams, almost all the way up to 500 yards per 100 grams. That is the way I think about yarn most of the time, and that is weight, yardage per weight, as far as the physical weight, not the yarn weight, but the how much does this yarn weigh. Excuse me. And the way I think about that is if you have like 100 grams of clay, right? Or if you played with Play-Doh when you were a little kid, you have 100 grams of clay. And if you pull it out and roll it out, the longer you make it, the skinnier it gets. It's still 100 grams. So if you think of your big old fluffy pile that's 100 grams of wool, the longer you pull it out, the skinnier it's going to get. So 440 yards in 100 grams versus 480 yards in 100 grams, your 480 is going to be a skinnier yarn. If you get up to a super bulky, sometimes you're looking at like 80 yards in 100 grams. And now, of course, this only works if you're comparing apples to apples, if you're comparing wool to wool, because when you add in other fibers, it can affect the weight. Adding in silk is going to make your yarn heavier, and that's going to affect things. And also the structure of your yarn, whether it's plied, whether it's a single, whether it's woolen spun, tightly spun, loosely spun, all of that is going to affect the yardage per weight. But as a general rule, you can look at that, and if you're trying to substitute yarns, it can get you in the right general vicinity. Now, another thing about yarn that mystified me is the United Kingdom uses ply as a weight designation. Now, this is ply meaning how heavy the yarn is, as in fingering, worsted, what have you, versus ply as in construction, which is what I was just talking about. And I had some help from my friend Ann Kingstone about how to really understand this. They actually break fingering out into light fingering and regular fingering. And so you would need a sixth finger. You have light fingering, which is 3 pi, and technically doubling light fingering. The light fingering is the knitting weight. That's so doubling that light fingering gives you the DK, which is 6 ply. So let's run it through it. Again, looking at my notes. So light fingering is 3 ply. Regular fingering is 4 ply. Sport is 5 ply. DK is 6 ply. Worsted is 10 ply. Aran, in the United States, it's also called 10 ply. So it's kind of fuzzy there. And then bulky, you get up to 12 ply. And if you look at those, then you can see that if light fingering being, as I said, 3 ply, you double it, you get 6 ply for DK. And fingering being 4 ply, you double it, you almost get worsted. It gets a little fuzzy with plies, but if you're generally trying to translate something that's written in UK terminology, that can get you in the right general vicinity. So I hope that this might have cleared something up. I hope I didn't make things more confusing. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask them in the comments. And let's go over the hand mnemonic. I can't say that word. The hand mnemonic one more time. So, pinky finger. So, fingering, sport, DK, worsted, Aran. Skinny to fat. Okay. Thank you very much. I hope you found this educational or funny or whatever. And if you liked the video, please press the like button. And if you'd like to be notified whenever I put up a new video, please feel free to subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much.